That's me, getting off my game.
I'd like to call this meeting of April 13th to order. I'd like to open up the word of prayer, pledge of allegiance, please.
Father, we thank you for your love and your grace. We thank you for this town, for every resident and every family represented here. We thank you for the governing body that has been given of their time and continues to do so. We ask for your guidance this evening, Lord. We ask for wisdom, for discernment, and cooperation. And we give you all the praise in your name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Noble. Here. Councilmember Cummings.
Here.
Councilmember Roberts.
Here.
Mayor Howell.
Present.
Manager Cavalli.
Here.
And Attorney Mora.
Present.
And Vice Mayor Zamitis asked that she be excused this evening.
I'd like to welcome everybody tonight, guests and residents. And I guess the first thing we're going to do is swear in Councilmember Noble.
Councilman Noble, can you meet me down here instead?
Don't talk smash you into the double button.
All right. Then raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Bonnie Ann Noble,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Florida
and the state of Florida
and the Charter and Code of Ordinances
and the Charter and Code of Ordinances
of the town of Kenneth City
of the town of Kenneth City
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
domestic or foreign,
domestic or foreign,
and that I will faithfully perform
and that I will faithfully perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
councilman
of council member
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I am about to enter.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Councilman.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor will administer the oath for council members Zamitis and later date when she's either present or at town hall.
I just want to say real quick, thank you everybody for your support, and I will continue to serve you as best I can.
Thank you, Bonnie. Appointment of Vice Mayor now. At this time, to my left here, Kyle, I'd like to promote him. No. I'd like to appoint him as the Vice Mayor for the next term. We like to rotate that office through, give everybody an opportunity. I'd like to thank Megan for the fine job she's been doing, and I'd like to turn that over to you.
Thank you, sir.
I don't think we have to vote on that, do we?
No. The mayor appoints.
Okay. Presentation of candidates for the PSTA Board of Directors.
And we have two candidates for the position of the Board of Directors for the Inland Cities Group. And the Inland Cities Group includes, as you see up there, Bel Air, Bel Bluffs, Gulfport, Seminole, South Pasadena, and Kenneth City. The two individuals that are interested in representing this group are Dr. Jim Oliver, who's here and will be speaking in just a moment, and also Bonnie Quick from South Pasadena, which unfortunately is not feeling well, and just for safety reasons, she asked that I read a comment for her. So that being said, if it meets with your approval, I'd like to have Dr. Oliver speak at the podium. Sure.
Thanks very much. It's good to be here. And being said, I'm Jim Oliver. I moved to Pinellas County in 1989, since 1989, to take a job at St. Petersburg College, professional advancement, and to be close to my aging parents who lived in Kenneth City. At St. Petersburg College, I was vice president for planning. I did my doctoral work in higher education management. In 1995, I was selected to be the founding provost to plan and build the St. Petersburg College Seminole campus. And while at St. Pete Seminole, I worked extensively with Brad Miller and worked with Janet Long, County Commissioner Janet Long, and with Brad, who's head of PSTA, as you know, to forge a contract between St. Petersburg College and PSTA so that all students, faculty, and staff could ride PSTA at any time for free. And we paid for that out of student activities funds. It's a great boon for PSTA. They've got a little bit of extra revenue. And for our students, faculty, and staff, especially our students, especially at some of our campuses that have transportation challenges, to be able to ride the PSTA. So I've had an interest in planning, an interest in transportation for some time. Being vice mayor for Seminole, we've been working with traffic concerns. If any of you have been to Seminole, but at the corner of Park and Seminole, it's about as bad as it gets. And so we're trying to work with the county on synchronization of lights and traffic, and clearly transportation and PSTA and what's going on with that in this most densely populated county in Florida is of critical need, and I have a keen interest in being part of that board. I don't believe there's been anyone from Seminole, our city manager told me, in 27 years who's been on the PSTA board, so I guess we do. And I guess it's traditionally been, I've only been one term on city council. I retired from St. Pete College in 2015 and then ran in one council seat. 27 years since there's been a member, and while I guess it's traditionally been the purview of the beaches, and they have a keen interest in transportation, I also think that smaller communities like Kenneth City and Seminole have a keen interest in transportation as well, and what goes on with PSTA and various transportation initiatives. So I appreciate your support for this seat on the board, and I thank you very much for hearing from me tonight.
And now to read Ms. Quick. And now to read Ms. Quick's comment. Dear Counselor, oh, I'm sorry, and she represents South Pasadena, if I haven't said that yet. So it starts off, Dear Council, as a long-time resident of Pinellas County, St. Petersburg, and most recently South Pasadena for the past 6 years, I have observed many changes in transportation configurations in the area. I have seen the evolution of roads and bridges and written about construction and infrastructure of them. I have a lot of interest in and the plans for partnership and fixed routes that create catalysts for redevelopment. As cities grow, it becomes more important to create more dense, mixed-use transport, active spaces that are pedestrian-friendly and encourage community involvement. Help cities grow to serve the needs of new residents, visitors, vendors, and medical facilities all work together to create community character. The Sunrunner - Beach to Bird offers a diverse option to eat, shop, work, and live, maintaining diverse housing choices for a variety of income levels. My background includes writing for several magazines, serving on the Mayor's Council on Aging appointed by Mayor Baker of St. Petersburg, and director of several women's programs. Thank you for taking the time to look at my nomination. I deeply regret not being able to attend tonight's meeting and see you in person. Due to the current health issues, I did not want to take a chance of exposing anyone to anything. Sincerely, Bonnie L. Quick, Commissioner, City of South Pasadena.
Pete, there's only one position open, is that
That is correct.
And these two, how do we vote on them, or are they assigned?
Yeah.
How do
If just the general consensus of council would work.
of the council, the whole council has to be unanimously voting for one?
No, just general consensus, correct?
It's not a unanimous vote, but you would have a vote of the body to determine who it is you would like to put forth as your candidate. If PSTA is asking for, though I'm not involved in this administratively, if PSTA is asking who say you, Kenneth City, the council would select its candidate.
And when will that be?
Right now.
Right now? You have a comment, Barbara? I'll take that as a no. Bonnie?
That's kind of hard.
just to have a short little synopsis, because there's so much going on with PSTA. Are these, non-elected folks that are supposed to support the inland communities?
When you not elected.
They both serve as elected officials in
Oh,
those
so they are
communities.
elected officials?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Oliver's in Seminole, and, the other, woman is in South Pasadena.
So they are elected officials supporting the inland communities?
Correct.
Okay.
And literally, I just got brought into this, maybe 3 or 4 days ago.
So then it was probably our turn to put somebody, if we had somebody local? That's how it usually works.
That's correct, yeah. Out of those 5 cities, that's why I sent an email to council, saying that this position was open.
Well, does
I
it,
sent it the same day that.
does it rotate from city to city though?
No. It's whoever, like, Dr. Oliver said, nobody from Seminole has been there in, what, 30-some years?
Is it a paid position?
No.
No.
No. Good luck to both of us. So we have to vote right now.
Well, what is, Dr. Oliver, what do you know about the things going on then, about, what they're looking for? Oh, there's so much going on with PSTA right now, you know, like they're looking at, especially down in, Clearwater, they're looking at putting in monorails and all kinds of, looking at different things, you know?
Well, you're absolutely right. They're looking at all of the above. They're looking at single bus lanes, they're looking at overpasses, they're looking at the route directly from St. Pete to the beaches. And so, to say I'm an expert on what PSTA's agenda is, would be an overstatement.
Oh, I wouldn't have.
And so, but I have a background and experience in education as a planner. And I think that there are clearly a series of important planning issues before PSTA. Also have a relationship with Brad Miller. And so I have an opportunity, I think, to step in and be someone who could be an advocate for cities, which is what this role is about, from day one. There wouldn't be a learning curve there. Certainly be a learning curve on issues, just like there's a learning curve when you become a member of city council. I learned that 3 years ago when I started out as a council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have an obvious statement. With him being the only person here, he'd have to really be bad if we didn't vote for him.
That's right.
That's right.
I agree. So I'm just saying, I vote for Mr. Oliver.
Before you vote, you should put it to public comment.
Okay, do we have any public comments on this? Okay.
Dr. Oliver?
I agree with Dr.
Good.
So am I. What? There you go.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Congratulations, Dr. Oliver.
Thanks very much.
Okay, we done with that one then.
Just
Okay.
make sure we become part of the PSTA, Dr. Oliver.
We can take our votes back, you know. Okay, consent agenda for April 2022.
I would like to have, for the consent agenda, please take out and remove item number 2 and item number 3.
Item.
Where are they? There's a couple things that were 2 and 3, what, under what
So there are 3 items on the consent agenda. Item 1 is the March 9, 2022 council meeting minutes. Item 2 is the Acela contract with an exhibit concerning the price quotation. And item 3 is the comprehensive plan for the Department of Economic Opportunity with correlating exhibit. Councilmember Noble has requested that items 2 and 3 be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the action agenda, which would be the most appropriate place to relocate them as items 6 and 7 respectively. So those items would be pulled by the consent agenda from the consent agenda as a matter of parliamentary procedure.
I also have a question on number 1 for section J. I will tell you the page, we have the page number, paragraph 2. Is this correct? Is that, I'm just making sure this is correct. How it reads. Under J.
Are you referring to the meeting minutes?
Yeah.
They were
J.
transcribed from,
It's fine, I'm just
recording.
asking a question. Is it,
Yeah.
you know, so under J, paragraph 2, that is correct?
It may assist if you point to specifically which text you're, within J that you're
I
concerned
don't
with.
know how.
Just given the vote.
We have
just
J.
the second paragraph where it says Attorney Morris stated that the current more substantial okay.
Yeah, that's correct?
Sure, that was transcribed from the
Okay.
recording.
That's fine, I'm just asking, thank you.
Whether or not the statement is correct is a different statement, a different question. I transcribed the meeting as it was produced.
So what are you asking? You're wanting us to take that off the agenda?
Well, no, just remove under the consent agenda, because if we go to approve the consent agenda, that means we're approving number 2 and number 3, and I'm asking them to be taken out of the consent agenda so they can be discussed.
So you're wanting to motion a workshop?
No, so let me explain what's going on from a parliamentary procedure standpoint. The consent agenda usually involves items in which there would be no discussion. You just say we're all pretty much of accord that this business can be handled without discussion. Ordinarily, within a parliamentary body, when a member suggests that I'm not comfortable proceeding with that on consent, it is pulled from the consent agenda and placed on the action agenda. Not at a later date, but for today, it would just under where we have action items 1 through 5, they would become 6 and 7 respectively. As to the minutes, Councilmember Noble was inquiring whether a particular part of the minutes were properly transcribed. The clerk has attested that they were. So right now, if the consent agenda were approved, you'd only be approving the minutes. The other 2 items would be deemed pulled from the consent agenda and placed on the action agenda. Does that make sense?
And you want the 2 things omitted.
Yep.
Yep.
So that just, once a member asks that it be pulled, it's generally pulled from the consent agenda because that is an indication.
Something that you're wanting to discuss.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
So if there were a motion to approve the consent agenda at this state, just to be clear, what you're approving is the minutes only. Those 2 other items that fall into the action agenda.
So I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda
Need a second?
For the minutes.
for the minutes.
I second it for the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent agenda as to the minutes stand approved.
Okay. So, contract, who's doing that? You, Pete?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we doing public comment?
Yeah, the next item on the agenda is public comment for open forum.
Wait a minute, signatures for you. It's G.
G.
What happened to, F2 and 3?
They move down to the action. They now move on to H.
Those are the 2 that you're.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
become H,
All right, so that's
5
fine.
and 6, or 6 and
All right.
7.
Just making sure we stay straight here. They yell at me if I don't. So. Okay, so let's open it up to public forum. Does anybody have anything that they would like to step up and speak about?
And please remember, if you do have public comment, there's a little form to fill out with your name and address.
All right, at this time, I'd like to close public comment then. Now we'll go to the action agenda, the solid waste contract selection. Mr. Pete, I believe that's your deal.
Okay, so as you know, our contract and the extensions for solid waste end May 1st. The town had went out to a RFP process, and we had several submittals. The 3 submittals that we had were from Waste Connections, which is our current provider, Waste Pro, and Waste Management. We have representatives of the 3 haulers here. Following us receiving those, we went through the process as spec'd out in the RFP, and that created a committee of 4 individuals, myself, the Public Works Supervisor, which is Ken, our town clerk, Anna, and Tori Scheinhorn, our administrative assistant, for the different specialties looking forward. As I said, the three, they came in were Waste Connections, our current provider, Waste Pro, and Waste Management. As we went through the evaluation of their presentations, staff felt that Waste Pro was number one, Waste Management was the second, and Waste Connections third. Waste Pro came in at a cumulative score of 394 for an average of 98.5 out of 100. Waste Management came in at 340, which was an average of 85, and Waste Connections came in at 328, which was a average score of 82. Now looking at the prices, Waste Pro was slightly higher, that's 61 cents a month higher than Waste Connections. Looking at Waste Management, they came in at $10.02 more than Waste Connections. That being said, Waste Management was the cheapest for commercial. Waste Pro was in the middle, and Waste Connections was the highest, I believe. And some of the other factors that we looked at, which we liked, was first of all the recommendations of some of their municipal clients. Waste Pro was outstanding. Talking to several of my colleagues, city managers and public works directors. Looking at the commercial bulk pickup cost, Waste Pro submitted a cost of $25 a cubic yard, where Waste Management submitted $100 per occurrence, and Waste Connections submitted $30 per item. The committee felt that $25 a cubic yard provided by Waste Pro was the fairest. Also, another thing that we've heard both from their submissions as well as from our local municipalities that use them is the special events and community involvement focus of Waste Pro seems to be outstanding. And then lastly, looking at technology, excuse me, it seems like Waste Pro and Waste Management had pretty good technology on how to process payments, the routing, and things like that. So that being said, the committee's recommendation to council is to go with Waste Pro for this contract, but as you know, this is the final selection goes to council. And if you have any questions, I know we have representatives of the three companies here, more than happy to answer those. That's what
Well, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, about our waste pickup. The name of the company doesn't mean a great deal to me. The gentlemen who pull up in front of my house, jump off the truck, unload my truck, or unload my trash, take it away for me, put my cans back, so on and so forth. The way that I am treated by those people is what counts. And I will tell you, whoever we have now is doing, those two guys are doing an excellent job, three guys, whatever. If we change companies, that's fine with me. You know, my judgment is on those people who pick up my trash, where I like them on these companies. As far as all the evaluating that you and your staff have done, you know, that's fine with me, but you know, that's your choice. I don't really have anything that I would like to argue the point with, you know, about who you pick, other than the fact that the most important part of this contract are those gentlemen who's driving them trucks and coming to our homes. Barbara, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Are all three of the companies still 2 days a week pickup?
Yeah, absolutely. Although Waste Pro would have to change, well, what did we say, Tuesday and Friday, I believe?
Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday. So there will be a change. The other two will stay on the same days.
Day doesn't matter as long as it's still 2 days.
Of course.
Yeah.
Is this still free for a special pickup?
Yes. You talk about for bulk collections?
Yeah, for bulk collection.
You just have to call.
Just call it names.
How is the transition gonna work, and how are we gonna notify the residents and things like that?
Yeah, if there is a transition, if you select somebody besides Waste Connections, we'd be asking them for a customer list. And also, Waste Pro's already started that. I've talked to Tracy Meehan. She's putting together her list to make sure that, you know, that we have enough cans that everybody's going to.
What kind of mean do they send out, you know, because all of a sudden, oops, it's
Oh.
Mondays, oops, what's our days now? And
Oh, yeah.
and so communication is more what I'm talking about.
When I looked through, and I think the rest of the community would say the same, as we looked through their package, it seemed like Waste Pro really did have a superior package. talking about flyers. They actually create a website, a webpage directly for our city, with direct connection to them. In fact, another thing that really kind of surprised me with Waste Pro is, so these are very large companies, and when you call, usually you have to call several people. The couple times I had to call Waste Pro, went directly to Jared's phone, and he answered all my questions immediately, so.
May I have that number?
Actually, the funny thing is, it's on the webpage for everybody to see. So, and when I talked to Seminole, I talked to Rodney, the Public Works Director, I talked to their city manager as well. They said that the transition, there were some hiccups, but that was because, I guess, there wasn't proper customer listings and stuff like that, but they made it happen, and everyone was very happy with the transition. And in fact, Rodney, their Public Works Director, even said, at some point, I had to say, stop calling, we did a good job for the transition, you don't have to call us 5 times a day. So,
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't really, have any, I'm the same way as the mayor. It's like the folks come and pick my trash up, I'm happy, and I'm sure like most of our residents are too, but like I say, my biggest thing is that I just wanna make sure that, enough communication goes out and people don't like it's not something that people think it's like in trash, and cause I have, I walk to my trash can when I get my mail and stuff, and before I walk to my house. So a lot of it goes right in there, and I wanna make sure that it's, that our customer, or, the town is gonna be properly notified and everything.
absolutely, and I do have to say, the 3 companies that put submittals, the ones that are here, you would be happy with the service of any of the 3 of them, as well as the transition. Again, these are the 3 big companies in really the country, and I don't think they'll have a problem with any of them, but we've already discussed, the transition with all the 3 companies.
Is that a single can too, charge? or is that-
Yeah, Waste Pro, we talked about an additional charge if you want a second can.
And that's just for like recycling, or can you have 2 cans, because you just have a lot of trash?
We talked about that, yes. Yeah, well,
You're gonna work.
Two.
But you have to pay for this can.
Correct.
Recycle, you gotta pay for
that's part of the charge. You would get one hopper, one basket. If you need a second one, they can get you a second one for a charge. The same thing with your card for your solid waste. So you can get another one. And really, I think the 3 of them will all be acceptable to that.
Is there an extra charge for the recycle bin? Because I know the Waste Connection right now, if you want the bigger bin instead of the one that sits on the ground, they charge a couple dollars more
Yeah, and that's
for
like.
that. Is that gonna work the same way?
That's the same, correct. And just in their submittals, just because you brought up recycling, the 2 beside Waste Management had it all inclusive, and Waste Management just had a price for the solid waste and a price for the recycle that you had together.
So what do you want, our approval?
I want to
The manager is seeking your direction on with whom to negotiate. The RFP materials went out with the contract terms. We're not working from 0, but he's asking based on his recommendation, we review the materials, who the council desires for the town to proceed negotiations with.
One more question, I'm sorry, so this starts May 1st?
This is a very short time to do transition,
You're right.
and absolutely.
So I have no qualms about who the manager picked. I'll make a motion to select Waste Pro who the manager picked.
Yeah, before, you can make the motion, but before there's a vote, you're gonna need to open the public comment.
Do we have any public comments about this? Yes, sir.
As you come to the microphone, please state your name and address. I brought the mic to you, buddy.
Sorry, okay. Thanks. My name's Ian Boyle. I'm Government Affairs Manager for Waste Connections. With me here tonight is Bill Cripple. He's our site manager. He's been with the company and also in Pinellas County for 22 years. My company's had a few names over the past 20 years, WSI, Progressive Waste, Waste Connections. But in that time, we've been a partner with Kenneth since 2007, providing solid waste and recycling services. We feel strongly that we provided great service over that time. Every company strives for 100% satisfaction. That in this industry, that doesn't happen all the time. But when we do, when issues do arise, as town manager says, everyone here has our number. The public works director calls Bill Krimmel, Logan Anderson, and we usually take care of the issue same day, if not the next day. All this being said, our goal tonight was hopefully to see this partnership continue. Unfortunately, based on the ranking, the RFP evaluation, my company is not ranked the highest, even though we submitted the lowest residential rate and have a track record of 15 years with the town. I'm not here to point out the differences and or issues with my competitors' submittals and the rankings, but I would like to point out a few things. One, we feel Waste Connections was negatively deducted points by not submitting a transition plan. The reality is we are the incumbent. We will not have a transition plan. We propose keeping all service route days and et cetera the same. In the RFP, bidders were asked to submit a plan to ensure a smooth transition, quote unquote. I've been in this role for 13 years and I can say with no hesitation, the smoothest transitions I've seen are no transitions. As the incumbent, there should be some positive factor to consider when you are in place and no transition occurs. We feel that was not considered. There was a category where bidders were asked to show how they will meet and exceed all the current level of service. If we did not adequately answer that question, we apologize. But we had hoped our 15 years of service would have showed how we always and currently meet the needs of the town. As the incumbent, we thought that was understood, and that's our apologies. The committee was asked about the condition and age of trucks, but in addition to this information, we feel our yard and office was not considered, which is very important as well. I want to thank the town manager and town clerk for taking a tour of our company-owned yard.